Welcome to the start of Season 6 of the Dobfather. New stadium, anybody? So let's be honest, I'm not convinced everybody thought we'd make it to Season 6 of Dobfather. I know I've had my doubts on at least 3 occasions when I thought we might be getting sacked, but things have started very well this campaign. We are top of the league. We will show you the form from our first 6 games in a moment. But first, let's update you on everything that's been going on during the summer before we introduce you to the players and the tactic that we're going to hope is going to take us to glory this season. So with no European football this season, improvements are likely to be few and far between. So we were delighted when the board finally agreed to improve the academy coaching budget, despite the fact that our finances are in the minuses. Now we know this is a one-club save, but we did have some interesting job offers during the summer. Salernitana invited us for an interview, as well as Croatian outfit Dinamo Zagreb. After 30 goals in 35 appearances, Denis Valencic was named Slovenia's Young Player of the Season, and it's meant that he's attracted interest from German side Dynamo Dresden, and I think it all might have gone to his head a little bit as he's been dropping hints that he wants to go and play with a stronger squad. But surely he gets that here now, doesn't he, as he's playing for the 351st greatest club in Europe. Elsewhere, Slovenian football was rocked by the resignation of Domžale boss Simon Rošman. And after 6 months of loyal service to Krško, Nom is already plotting his next managerial move. But the big news is that we've now moved into the 4,900 capacity ROLTEK stadium. And in our first home game of the season, we sold 4,400 tickets. And it's a game at the ROLTEK Stadium that we bring you back for today. And for this season, we'll also be sporting our new Puma home and away kits designed by assistant manager Callum Hayes. And we're going to leave links down in the video description to Callum's socials, where you can DM him with any kit request that you have. Or if you're a member of the Manager's Seat Discord, you'll find Callum in the FM Graphics channel. And if you want to join the Discord, we'll put links to that in the video description too. And so here we are then, 5 games into the season. I think earlier I might have said 6, but we've played 5. We've come back for a home game so that you can see the new stadium. Spoiler alert, there are not nearly enough burger outlets at this stadium. Somebody has seriously dropped the ball. Maybe Nom took them to Krško when he walked out on us last season. But we are currently top of the league. We've not been spectacular. We've won 3 and drawn 2. But the 2 games that we have drawn are against top opponents, and so far this season we've not conceded a goal. On the opening day, we travelled to Ljubljana to take on Bravo, and we won this game 2-0 with goals from Denis Valencic. And then we marked the opening of the ROLTEK Stadium by beating Mura 3-0. Valencic got the first, before goals by Kaučić. And then by Jaka Kasnic sent the 4,400 supporters all home happy. Following a 0-0 draw against Maribor, we then took on Domžale in the first derby of the season, and we won 2-0 with goals through Kaučić and Valencic. And then in our most recent game, it was another 0-0 draw against Olimpia this time, so that's 2 decent draws against the 2 biggest clubs in the nation. However, both Maribor and Olimpia are sat in mid-table currently, so maybe those weren't as good a results as I might think, but the fact that we've gone 5 games without conceding a goal is definitely encouraging, and we've been giving lots of game time to some of our youngsters who are now becoming integral to our side. So here is the tactic that we have now embedded. We used it at the end of last season and it went quite well. Following your comments at the end of the last video, we've made a couple of refinements to it, and we've also added in a second alternative where rather than having a lone player out on the left, we can switch it over and play it out on the right, and we can bring players like Gajic into the side who are natural out on that right-hand flank. But we tend to start with the left-hand tactic, which allows us to play either Ivačić or Simon Gregorin, who are both natural out there, and Ivačić has been playing pretty well so far. He's got himself 2 assists during the first 5 games of the season. Doesn't really look like a goal scorer, so maybe being out wide might suit him more. There is interest in his services from a Hungarian side, I think, but the man we are most worried about losing is old dirty Denis Valencic. He is unhappy. He wants to move to a stronger side or a a club with a stronger squad, and there are now a brace of German outfits interested in him. But all of our youngsters have signed contracts that don't have minimum fee release clauses in them, so I think I can just turn these bids down, and as long as they're not so large that the board start to get excited and want to clear the club's debts with an outrageous bid that might come in from a foreign side, I'm fairly confident that we can keep all of our top players, even if it means some of them might be unhappy for a week or so after the transfer window closes. Let's talk you through the youngsters that are now firmly rooted in our squad. Starting in goal, where Alan Seifer is now our number one, which is going to be a tough blow to Žiga Masaric, who is now our third choice keeper, having previously been our backup. But the coaches think that he's only really got the potential to be a Division 2 goalkeeper. And we also have down on the subs bench Žiga Firmashek, who's been injured for the first few weeks of this season. He's been our number one for, the first 5 seasons of the Dobfather, more or less. But now we're giving more and more game time to young Alan, and I think he might be our regular starter. We've never been that convinced by old Žiga Firmashek. He does throw in the occasional floppy-wristed save. So far, young Alan has looked pretty good. Ahead of him, I would say actually that Martin Puchko might just be shading it now as our first choice centre-half for the first 5 seasons. Old Darko Mitrovic had been absolutely crucial for us, but we've now got 2 decent centre-halves, and in fact, to rotate those 2 and give them a little bit of a rest, we've also got Miran Filipovic on the bench, who's developing pretty well, training at an 8.45. The coaches say he's already a second-tier defender, even though he's only played 2 games for the club, and he's also got the potential, allegedly, to be a top division defender. So we're going to try and get him into the side more and more this season. We could retrain him as a right back because we don't really have a good backup one of those, but he's got poor technique as well as lacking a bit of strength and athleticism. So I don't think he's really ready for too much first team football now. And I'm not sure with that poor technique, he's ever going to cut it as a right back. So as a centre back, I think is what we will create out of him. In midfield now, we've got 2 of our youngsters who are absolutely crucial. Young Matija Kaučić does seem to be committed to the club once more. He's signed a new longer-term deal, no minimum fee release clause again. He's impressing in training. He's a 9.5 for the last week and is developing again and starting to improve his performances. So I think we're going to have a good season from him. And then ahead of him, we've got Igor Zharl. We'll just take a run up and commit to that, who does have some gaps in their game. Not a great header. He's also not the most consistent, but there's some good elements as well. I think he might have changed personality. Not sure he was spirited when he first came through, but his determination is improving from his training. I'm not mentoring this player, so that's all down to game time, as well as being around the rest of the squad, I would guess. He's also got good strength and good stamina. I like that in the middle of the park. I'm sure it says something in there about him being a good decision maker as well. Indeed, it does. So I like having that in the midfield. And during the course of the season, I might just rotate these 2 around, and allow Kaučić to go into the central midfield areas and let Zharl be the more defensive-minded of our 4 central players. But the player who I still think is the most important for us is Dirty Denis Valencic. 4 goals in 4 starts. A couple of games ago, I actually dropped him because he was getting a little bit sulky about not moving to a bigger side. He still came off the bench and scored in that, so I brought him back into the starting lineup for the Olympia game. 30 league goals last season and 4 already this campaign. 3 seasons ago, he was looking like a player who might struggle to be a top-flight striker. Now he's one who I think has got a chance of getting into the Slovenian national setup. So this is the team that we are going to throw out today. I think we might make some changes on the bench where we've got players like Gajic and Firmashek to come in, who might just give us even stronger options off the bench. But I want to leave as many youngsters on there as possible. I'm really keen to carry on giving sub appearances to people like Marko Pesha, who's going to become probably our starting striker were Valencic ever to move. He's training superb. 9.75 from him. Again, the coaches think he could be a top division striker. Not scored in his 2 sub appearances this season, but He's going to get more game time as we progress. And another player who's on the bench with a personality I'm not fond of is young attacking midfielder Matic Vodapivic, who's unambitious, but when he comes on and plays, he's not done that bad. He's made 3 sub-appearances so far, put through some good through balls from central midfield, and has even bagged himself an assist. When I bring him on, it tends to be as a Masala so we can rest Tigla, or as the central midfielder on attack when we bring Kasnic out of the team. So youngster-wise, things are developing pretty nicely, and we'd love another win today to keep us top of the table. But we've got a team who are newly promoted last year that are going to give us a tough game today. Today, we're welcoming ND Garita to our new stadium. They hail from a town of just 13,000 residents close to the Italian border. In fact, Nova Garita is so close to the Italian border that they'd have less travelling time to go and face Udinese than they would do to come and play us at Dob. Whilst those that shall not be mentioned finished down in 11th last season, Garita had a good campaign and finished as champions, and have made a strong start this with 2 wins and 2 draws. Their star man is Marcus Tavares, who they've just signed from Maribor, and they'll be hoping to keep up their strong early season form as Garita travel to Dob. So I think this is actually a tricky game. Whenever you come back for a YouTube episode with a bit of pep in your step, you inevitably come crashing back down to earth. We are top of the league. We've not conceded a goal. Cue an absolute first half collapse. We'll be 3-0 down at half time, and you'll all be howling down in the comment section that this is a terrible tactic that needs tearing up instantly. Hopefully, though, that will not be the case. But as we get into these early highlights, have a little glance around the stadium. It looks great on first sight, but where are the burger outlets? We've got one behind the goal here. Maybe there's one just next to it, but over the other side of the stadium, it's barren. We are bereft of suitable outlets for fans to go and eat from. They must be starving in here. They were used to, 20 different burger stalls that they could visit, and there were only 280 fans. Now we've got thousands of them arriving for games, and the queues must be huge. It's all Nom's work, I'm sure of it, but it does mean that I still think we've got some stadium developments to make, because we can't carry on with this. It's just an embarrassment. But to the game, we are 5 minutes in. We've had a couple of early highlights that have led to nothing, and we've got the ball with Kaušnić, and now he's sent one over to Dirty Den. He's had a good sighter of goal, and he's drifted it wide of the post. That was a decent opportunity that you would expect the country's leading scorer from last season to rifle into the back of the net. Alas, was not the case this time, but we're coming forward again with Zidane. I think he's going to check. Indeed, he does. He sends it back to Mitrovic in no rush to get the ball forward. Kaušnić, as the halfback, does like to drop in to those little defensive spaces and pick up the ball. And here is the youngster Zhao, who gives it to Kaušnić, and now we get it out to that inside forward on the left. We're being patient here. I've said he's not much of a goal scorer, Ivčić. We would like to get more productivity out of him if we can. And we would like that from the rest of the team, because that highlight came to absolutely nothing. We got into some good areas, but didn't even get an effort off during that move. And we've had 5 shots, 6 now, 2 of them on target. Nothing for our opponents. But we've not so far managed to find any kind of breakthrough. Maybe as we approach the half-an-hour mark, it might be coming now. Here's the youngster again. He sprayed a pass out wide. Could he give us that productivity that we're hoping for? He's certainly thinking about it. He's drifted inside. He's had a good effort, and it's led to a goal from Kasnic. We might just be checking for an offside flag there. Don't think we've got one. And will Ivčić pick up an assist for that? Because it was a decent effort on goal. He's done well to ferret his way down to the byline. He's had the composure to then check back, make a little bit of wriggle room. It's a good effort on goal, and Kasnic, as the central midfielder with the attack duty, has burst his way into the box and tucked that one away. And still, our opponents have yet to register a shot. 9 for us, 3 of them on target. It's highlight time again. We are looking pretty ferocious in the tackle, And Ivčić brings us away once more. He sent it back to Puška, and you'll see we've got a nice little setup in that midfield. We've got Kaučić and Žul, who both like to just drop deep and give us a lot of cover. And then we've got Tigla, who's looking to get into those little pockets of space on the right flank. And Kasnic, who's just looking to bomb forward and support Valencic. And having all that space on the right flank means that Zidane can get further forward to deliver, as he does on that occasion, and Ivčić heads it wide. Decent old first half, that one. Our opponents have still not had a shot, but we're only one goal in the lead, and that is a very fragile scoreline. So we've told the players we don't want to see even a hint of complacency. The man we're keeping an eye on, by the way, is Denis Valencic. He's not had a great first half, but the man that we question to do with his output, young Ivčić, well, he has had a good first half, a possible assist, and now he's risen at the far post, and I don't think he's the best in the air, but Tigla sends the ball back to Zidane. That's a heck of a header that the goalkeeper really should have done better with, and we've now got ourselves a healthy-looking lead. But now Garita are looking to try and get back into the game, and they've almost done exactly that. That is their first effort of the match, and it was a good one. We got a little bit fortunate to still be 2-0 up. Could have been 3-0 up. Mitrovic rises at the near post. That was a good header. We've had 16 efforts now. 17 of them have been on target. This is a reasonably strong performance. I think we're worthy of another goal, and right on cue, there is the man that's only been pulling a 6.5 average rating, and he swiveled and volleyed one with his left foot, I think, right past the Garita goalie. Now, who's getting the assist this time? I think it's Krasnić, the left back. It was a cheeky little half volley by Valencic, and you know what? I think we might reward him by just giving him a bit of a rest for the remainder of this game, because I'm keen to get more minutes into the legs of Marco Pescia. And one of the things I'm excited about with him is that it says he has the ability to strike a ball sweetly and is a good finisher. And we don't have any other players in the squad that get that in their coach report. So we definitely want to give him more game time. I think the other player we're going to bring on, in place of Kasnić, the other goal scorer for us today, is Vodapivic. And although he's not training the best, we've got to keep playing him to allow him to develop. He is one of the players that's getting mentored, by the way, so we're going to try and improve his personality if we can. But on 60 minutes, we've got 2 more of our youngsters onto the field. As the clock starts to run down, we've made another little tactical change. We've brought Gajic on, and we've just rotated our formations so that lopsided right winger is now on the field rather than one over on the left. Are we going to concede our first goal of the season here? It doesn't look like it. More likely that this is a counter-attacking opportunity for us. You've seen the 2 substitutes involved there as Tigla brings the ball forward, and here is Pescia, and he's in. And there is that great finishing that the coaches warned us about, as he has a point-blank effort that he's rifled wide of the post. But I think that is another pretty impressive display. No shots on target for our opponents. We've got 3 goals, 23 shots during the game. Maybe we're not the most efficient finishers, but we're making a strong start to the season. So feast your eyes on this, everybody. 6 games played. We're 4 points clear at the top of the table. This is not going to last. By the time you come back and see us next, we'll be approaching the winter break, and it will all have imploded. We'll be in the bottom half of the table. We'll be summoned into the boardroom, and we'll probably have another really disappointing report from our head of youth development.